It started with a stormy night, thunder rolling like a warning from the skies, rain pounding against the windows of a small town nestled in the hills. Everyone in the neighborhood was fast asleep, unaware that danger was creeping through the darkness. But not Max. Max wasn't like any other dog. He had once been a stray, thin and scarred, wandering alleys in search of scraps. That's until Officer Jensen found him huddled under a dumpster on one freezing winter morning, shivering and barely breathing. Since that day, Max had become more than a partner. He was family, loyal, brave, and sharp as a whip. And on that night, as lightning streaked across the sky, Max was wide awake. Officer Jensen was on patrol, scanning the quiet streets when a radio call shattered the silence. All units, be advised, suspect Jason Cole, armed and extremely dangerous, has escaped custody. Last seen heading northbound through Hollow Creek. Jason Cole, a name that chilled spines. A career criminal, responsible for a string of robberies and assaults. The man had slipped through law enforcement's fingers more than once. But this time, he was on Jensen's turf. The rain made visibility nearly impossible. But Max was restless. Pacing. Whining. Nose pressed to the cracked patrol car window. "Easy, Max. We'll find him," Jensen whispered, though the pit in his stomach was growing. Then Max froze, ears perked. A noise. Barely audible. But he heard it. Something rustling beyond the trees at the edge of the highway. Jensen turned the headlights toward the woods. Nothing. Just sheets of rain. But Max growled. And when Max growled, Jensen listened. He leapt from the car, unclipped Max's harness, and whispered, "Track him, boy." What followed was like something out of a movie. Max darted through mud and darkness, nose low, tail stiff. Jensen followed, hand on his holster. The forest swallowed them quickly, branches tearing at their clothes and fur, thunder roaring overhead. But Max didn't stop. Then a broken fence. Fresh footprints in the mud. Max barked once. Then twice. Jason Cole was just ahead, hiding behind an abandoned shed. He had a plan. He always had a plan. He figured the rain would wash his scent. That the darkness would hide him. That no one would dare come this far in weather like this. But he hadn't counted on Max. The dog lunged around the corner of the shed, snarling, teeth bared. Cole shouted, stumbling backward. "Get that mud off me." Jensen emerged seconds later, gun drawn. "Freeze." Hands in the air. Cole reached into his coat. Max didn't hesitate. With a powerful leap, he launched himself at the suspect, biting down hard on the man's arm. The weapon fell to the ground with a clatter. Cole screamed, trying to shake Max off. But Max held firm, growling, not letting go until Jensen cuffed the man, pressed his face into the wet dirt. Breathing heavy, Jensen knelt beside Max. "Good boy. You did it." Max wagged his tail, chest heaving, ears perked as if waiting for the next command. The radio crackled again. "Suspect in custody?" Jensen smiled through the rain. "Affirmative. Thanks to Max." They walked back through the storm, officer, dog, and criminal. One caught by a hero who didn't wear a badge, but deserved one more than most. And as they reached the patrol car, soaked but victorious, a neighbor peeked from her porch, eyes wide. "Was that your dog?" Jensen looked at Max, who shook off the rain and stood tall. "He's not just mine," he said. "He's this town's protector." But what happened next would take the story from local legend to national headlines. To be continued in Part 2. News of Max's bravery spread like wildfire. By morning, the small town of Hollow Creek was buzzing. Local reporters showed up at the station, asking for interviews. Kids drew pictures of Max and taped them to the station door. Someone even brought homemade dog treats wrapped in a bow. But Max didn't care for the attention. He only cared about the man he trusted most, Officer Jensen. "Look at you," Jensen laughed, scratching behind Max's ears as they stood in the station hallway. "You're a celebrity now." Max wagged his tail, then sat at Jensen's side like always, calm, alert, and ready. But while the town celebrated, something darker stirred beneath the surface. Jason Cole wasn't working alone. Unbeknownst to the police, his older brother, Marcus Cole, had been tracking every update from jail. When he saw his brother's face splashed across the news, cuffed, muddy, humiliated, rage boiled in his veins. "That dog ruined everything," Marcus growled to his cellmate. "He's going to pay." 2 days later, Marcus escaped during a prison transfer. It was a mistake no one saw coming, and it put everyone in Hollow Creek at risk. The town was put on high alert. Officers worked double shifts. Neighborhood watches were formed. Parents kept their children home from school. And Max? Max never left Jensen's side. He's out there, Jensen told the chief one night, staring at the crime board. And he's not just looking to run. He wants revenge. They were right to worry. 3 nights after the escape, an anonymous tip came in. Movement spotted near the old lumber yard. Same area where Jason was found. Jensen's gut clenched. Let's roll. It was quiet as they pulled up. Too quiet. Jensen unlatched Max's harness. Stay close. Let me lead. But Max did something strange. He sat. He didn't sniff. Didn't pace. Just stared at the woods. Frozen. Jensen knelt beside him. What is it, boy? Then snap. A twig broke behind them. Before Jensen could turn, Max lunged sideways, knocking him to the ground just as a bullet tore through the air where his head had been. Ambush! Jensen shouted, scrambling behind the patrol car. Another shot. Then silence. Max growled low in his throat, eyes locked on the shadows between the trees. That's when Jensen saw him. Marcus Cole. Same eyes. Same snarl. But colder. You took my brother, Marcus hissed, stepping forward with the pistol aimed. That dog humiliated him. Let's see him bleed. Jensen raised his weapon. Drop it, Marcus. It's over. It ends when he's dead. Marcus fired. Max moved like lightning. He didn't just run, he calculated. Zigzagging, low to the ground, dodging the first shot. The second grazed his side, but Max didn't stop. He leapt with every ounce of strength he had, straight at Marcus. Gunfire. A scream. A thud. By the time Jensen got there, Marcus was flat on his back, winded, disarmed, and Max stood over him, teeth bared, bleeding but still defiant. Jensen cuffed Marcus, adrenaline crashing through his veins. He turned to Max. You okay, buddy? Max whined softly, limping toward Jensen, tail wagging weakly. You saved me. Again. They rushed him to the vet. The town waited outside the clinic, holding candles, hoping, praying. And finally, after hours, the vet stepped out and smiled. He's going to be just fine. Cheers erupted. Jensen let out the breath he hadn't realized he was holding. But this wasn't the end, because what came next would test Max more than any fugitive ever could. To be continued in Part 3. The town had faced danger, fear, and nearly lost one of its greatest protectors. But Hollow Creek stood stronger than ever, united by the courage of a dog who simply refused to back down. Max recovered quickly. The wound on his side left a scar, but his spirit never faded. In fact, it only grew. Wherever he went, children ran to him. People paused their day just to pet him or say thank you. He had become a symbol, not just of safety, but of resilience. 1 week later, the mayor called a special town meeting. The whole community gathered in the park. Officers stood in uniform. Kids held handmade signs. We love you, Max. Our hero. Even old Mr. Billings, who hadn't left his house in years, sat in the front row with his cane and a tear in his eye. Mayor Watkins stepped up to the microphone. Tonight, we honor a protector who wears no badge, speaks no words, but whose loyalty, bravery, and sacrifice have left a mark on all of us. She turned to Max, sitting proudly beside Jensen. For saving not just one life, but a whole town's peace of mind, we present Max with the Hollow Creek Medal of Valor. The crowd erupted in applause as a shiny gold medallion was fastened gently around Max's neck. He barked once, tail wagging, tongue out. And somehow everyone understood. Later that night, Jensen sat on the porch with Max lying at his feet. The stars were out, the air quiet for the first time in weeks. You know, Jensen said, scratching Max's head, you didn't just stop a criminal. You reminded us what courage looks like. Even when you're scared. Even when it hurts. Max looked up at him, eyes soft, trusting. And maybe, Jensen continued, maybe that's what being a hero really means. Not fighting because you have to, but because someone needs you to. Max laid his head on Jensen's boot and closed his eyes. The next morning, a new sign appeared outside the police station. It read, Welcome to Hollow Creek, home of Max, the hero dog. Max's story was picked up by national news. Interviews poured in. Offers to feature him in magazines, even TV shows. But Jensen politely declined most of them. Max doesn't need the fame. He already has what matters most. This town, these people, and a quiet spot at the station window where he can watch the world he helped protect. In the years to come, new officers joined the force. The town grew. But one thing never changed. The story of that stormy night, and the dog who outsmarted a fugitive and reminded everyone what love, loyalty, and bravery truly mean. Moral of the story asterisk. Sometimes heroes don't speak. Sometimes they walk on four legs. And sometimes their actions echo louder than words ever could.